The Valori Empire had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. They had conquered over 300 species. They had destroyed entire civilizations that refused to bow. Their warships numbered in the millions, and their territory stretched across 7 spiral arms of the Milky Way. Ambassador Kira stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel and watched the blue planet grow larger on the screen. Earth. Such a small world. Such a young species. The humans had only discovered faster than light communication 50 years ago. They were babies in the cosmic sense. Ambassador, we are entering their solar system now, the navigation officer reported. Kira nodded her scaled head. The Valori were tall beings with gray skin and 4 arms. They had evolved from predators, and their sharp teeth reminded every species of this fact. Kira had served the Empire for 200 years. She had brought dozens of species into the fold. Some joined willingly. Others required more persuasion. What do we know about these humans? Kira asked. Her assistant pulled up the data on his tablet. They are soft-skinned bipeds. Average lifespan of 90 years. They have been traveling within their own solar system for about 3 centuries. No significant military presence detected. Their largest vessels are small transport ships. Kira smiled. This would be easy. The humans were clearly a minor species. They would accept Valori rule without much trouble. If they were smart, they would see the benefits of joining the Empire. If they were foolish, well, the Empire had ways of dealing with foolish species. The diplomatic fleet consisted of 5 ships. The lead vessel was the size of a small city. The 4 escort ships were each capable of destroying a planet. This was standard procedure for first contact. The Empire liked to make a strong first impression. We are receiving a transmission, the communication officer announced. Put it through, Kira ordered. A human face appeared on the screen. It was a male with dark hair and calm eyes. He wore a simple uniform with no decorations or medals. Behind him, Kira could see a small bridge with basic equipment. This is Captain Tay of the Earth vessel Harmony, the human said. We welcome the Valori Empire to our solar system. We have been expecting you. Kira raised one of her 4 hands in greeting. I am Ambassador Kira, of the Valori Empire. We come to discuss the future relationship between our peoples. Of course, Captain Tay replied. We would be honored to host you aboard our ship for initial talks. Kira almost laughed. Their ship? The human vessel was barely visible on her sensors. It was perhaps 200 meters long. Her own diplomatic ship was 15 kilometers from bow to stern. The idea of boarding such a tiny craft was almost insulting. Perhaps it would be better if you came to us, Kira suggested. Our facilities are more suited to diplomatic functions. Captain Tay smiled. It was a strange smile, patient, almost knowing. We understand your preference, Ambassador. However, Earth custom requires that we host guests first. It is a matter of honor for us. Kira considered this. Every species had their little customs. It cost nothing to humor them. Besides, seeing their pathetic ship up close would give her a better understanding of just how primitive these humans were. Very well, Kira agreed. I will bring a small delegation. The shuttle ride to the human vessel took only minutes. As they approached, Kira studied the Harmony through the viewport. It was even smaller than she had thought. The hull was plain gray metal with no weapons visible. A cargo ship, perhaps, or a science vessel, nothing impressive. Captain Tay met them at the airlock. He was shorter than Kira had expected. Most species were shorter than the Valori, but humans were particularly small. Tay bowed slightly as Kira and her 2 guards stepped aboard. Welcome to Harmony, he said. Please, follow me to the conference room. The inside of the ship was clean but simple. The corridors were narrow. The lighting was soft. Kira saw crew members going about their duties. They nodded politely but did not seem afraid. This surprised her. Most species showed fear when they first encountered the Valori. These humans just looked curious. The conference room was small. A round table sat in the center with chairs for perhaps 10 people. Captain Tay gestured for Kira to sit. "Can I offer you refreshments?" Tay asked. "We have water, tea, or coffee." "Water will be fine," Kira said. A young woman brought glasses of water for everyone. She had a kind face and moved with quiet efficiency. Her name tag read, Yuna. She smiled at the Valori guards, who looked confused by her friendliness. "So," Kira began once they were settled, "the Valori Empire has watched your species with interest. You have made impressive progress for such a young civilization." "Thank you," Captain Tay replied. "We are proud of what we have achieved. However," Kira continued, "the galaxy is a dangerous place. Many threats exist beyond your small corner of space. The Empire offers protection to species who join us. In exchange, we ask only for loyalty and tribute." Captain Tay listened carefully. He did not seem surprised or worried. He simply nodded as Kira spoke. "What happens to species who do not wish to join?" Tay asked. Kira leaned forward. "The Empire has ways of convincing reluctant species. It is always better to join willingly. The terms are more favorable." "I see," Tay said. He took a sip of water. "And how many species have refused your offer?" "None that still exist," Kira replied coldly. The room went quiet. The Valori guards smiled, showing their sharp teeth. This was usually the moment when primitive species began to panic. They would beg for mercy or promise immediate loyalty. The weak always broke at this point, but Captain Tay did not break. He simply looked at Kira with those calm, patient eyes. "Ambassador," he said softly, "I appreciate your honesty. May I be honest with you in return?" "Of course," Kira said, curious despite herself. "You have made assumptions about humanity based on this ship and what your sensors have told you. I understand why. We are a young species. We have only been exploring space for a few centuries. Our vessels that you have detected are small and simple." "These are facts, not assumptions," Kira interrupted. "They are facts," Tay agreed. "But they are not the complete picture. You see, Ambassador, humanity learned long ago that the universe is vast and often hostile. We knew that one day we would encounter other species. Some would be friendly, others would not." "Your point?" Kira asked impatiently. Captain Tay stood and walked to the window. Outside, the stars glittered against the black void. "Our point, Ambassador, is that humanity prepared. We have been preparing for a very long time. These small ships you see, these transport vessels and science craft, they are not our true fleet. They are merely our face to the galaxy, our handshake, if you will." Kira felt something cold crawl up her spine. "What do you mean?" Before Tay could answer, the communication panel beeped. Yuna answered it and listened for a moment. Her expression did not change. "Captain," she said calmly, "the Valori fleet has just detected them. They are requesting information." Tay nodded. "Tell Admiral June we are ready for the next phase." Kira stood abruptly. "What is happening? What have your people detected?" Captain Tay turned to face her. His smile was no longer patient. It was something else entirely. "Ambassador Kira," he said, "I think it is time you saw what humanity really built." The Valori diplomatic fleet had positioned itself in a standard defensive formation around Earth. 5 massive warships hung in the void like predators waiting to strike. Commander Thessa stood on the bridge of the lead escort vessel, the Crushing Fist. She was a veteran of 30 campaigns and had never known defeat. Her job today was simple: provide security for Ambassador Kira. Intimidate the primitive humans. Show them the power of the Empire. It should have been boring work. A waste of her talents. Then the sensors went insane. "Commander!" the sensor officer shouted. His voice cracked with something Thessa had never heard from a Valori soldier. "Fear. We are detecting a massive object emerging from hyperspace." Thessa strode to the sensor console and looked at the readings. Her 4 hands gripped the edge of the console so hard that the metal bent. "That cannot be correct," she whispered. "Run the scan again." "I have run it 5 times, Commander. The readings are accurate." The object emerging from hyperspace was enormous. The sensors showed it at over 2,000 kilometers long. That was not possible. The largest Valori dreadnought was only 50 kilometers. The Imperial Palace ship, home of the Emperor himself, was 100 kilometers. Nothing in the known galaxy was 2,000 kilometers. What is that thing? Thessa demanded. Unknown, Commander. It appears to be artificial in construction. It is definitely a ship. The communication panel lit up. A message from the human vessel, Harmony. Commander Thessa. Captain Tay's voice said calmly. Please do not be alarmed. The approaching vessel is friendly. It is one of ours. Thessa stared at the screen showing the human captain. One of yours? That is impossible. Humans do not possess ships of that scale. No species possesses ships of that scale. I understand your confusion, Tay replied. Perhaps Admiral June can explain better than I can. He is aboard the Evergreen. That is the ship approaching your position now. The Evergreen. They had named that monster the Evergreen. Like it was a plant. Like it was something peaceful and normal. On the main view screen, the ship finally emerged fully from hyperspace. Thessa felt her heart stop for a moment. The thing was beyond comprehension. It was not just large. It was a world unto itself. She could see cities built into its hull, actual cities with lights and structures and movement. Thousands of smaller craft buzzed around it like insects around a hive. All ships, hold position, Thessa ordered. Her voice was steadier than she felt. Do not fire, unless I give the command. A new face appeared on the communication screen. An older human male, with gray hair and a weathered face. He wore a simple uniform, similar to Captain Tay's. This is Admiral June of the Earth vessel Evergreen, he said. I apologize if our arrival startled you. We did not want to cause alarm. Did not want to cause alarm? Thessa repeated. You have just brought a ship larger than any in galactic history into Earth's orbit. What exactly was your intention? Admiral June smiled gently. Our intention, Commander, is simply to continue our diplomatic discussions with Ambassador Kira. However, we felt it was important for the Valori Empire to understand exactly who they are negotiating with. Meanwhile, on the Harmony, Ambassador Kira had moved to the bridge. She stood beside Captain Tay and watched the Evergreen on the view screen. Her gray skin had turned pale. How? She managed to ask. How did you build such a thing? Tay gestured for her to sit. She did, her legs no longer reliable. Ambassador, humanity has a long history. We have known war. We have known peace. We have known greatness and tragedy. 2,000 years ago, we looked at the stars and knew that someday we would travel among them. We also knew that the universe might not be welcoming. Yuna brought Kira another glass of water. The ambassador's hands shook as she drank. Other species build warships, Tay continued. They build weapons of destruction. Humanity chose a different path. We asked ourselves a simple question. If the universe is hostile, how do we ensure our survival? You built colony ships, Kira whispered. We built arcs, Tay corrected. Each one is a complete world. Self-sustaining, self-defending. The Evergreen carries 12 million people. It has farms, factories, schools, hospitals. It has everything needed to preserve and continue human civilization, no matter what happens to Earth. Kira's mind raced. How many of these ships do you have? Tay was quiet for a moment. Then he said, 17. 17 ships. Each over 2,000 kilometers long. Each carrying millions of humans. Kira tried to calculate the total population, but gave up. The number was too large. The ships you detected, Kira said slowly. The small transport vessels. The science craft. Those were exactly what they appeared to be, Tay said. We use them for everyday work. Trade. Exploration. Communication. We never saw the need to show the arcs to anyone. We hoped we would never have to. On the bridge of the Crushing Fist, Commander Thessa was receiving updated sensor data. The Evergreen was not just large, it was armed. Heavily armed. Her weapons officer was nearly crying as he read the analysis. "Commander, that ship has over 50,000 weapon emplacements. Energy weapons, projectile weapons, missile systems. It has shields stronger than anything in our database. One ship, just one of their ships, could destroy our entire escort fleet in minutes." Thessa closed her eyes. 30 campaigns. 30 victories. She had never felt so small. "Commander," her communication officer said, "Ambassador Kira is requesting a channel. Put her through." Kira's face appeared on screen. She looked shaken but was trying to maintain composure. "Commander Thessa, I am ordering all Valori ships to stand down. There will be no hostile action against the humans. Is that understood?" "Understand. Understood, Ambassador. But what do we tell High Command? What do we tell the Emperor?" Kira took a deep breath. "We tell them the truth. We tell them that humanity is not what we thought. We tell them that we need to reconsider our approach." Thessa nodded. She had never retreated from a battle in her life. But this was not a battle. This was a wake-up call. Admiral June's face appeared on a split screen alongside Kira's. "Ambassador, Commander," he said warmly. "I hope we can move past this moment of tension. Humanity has no desire for war. We built these ships to protect our people, not to conquer others. We would very much like to be friends with the Valori Empire." "Friends," Thessa repeated. The word sounded strange. The Valori did not have friends. They had subjects and enemies. Nothing in between. "Yes, friends," June confirmed. "We have learned much in our history. One lesson stands above all others. Cooperation is stronger than conquest. Species that work together achieve more than species that fight." Kira found her voice again. "Admiral June, I must be honest with you. The Valori Empire has never negotiated with a species as equals. We have always held the position of power. I am not sure our leadership knows how to do anything else." "Then perhaps this is an opportunity for them to learn," June replied. "Change is difficult, Ambassador. But it is also necessary for growth. The universe is vast. There is room for all of us if we choose to share it." Kira looked at the evergreen on the screen. 12 million humans. Living their lives on that massive ship. Building families. Creating art. Growing food. An entire civilization that had nothing to do with war or conquest. Maybe, she thought, the Valori could learn something from these humans after all. "Admiral June," she said finally, "I would like to visit your ship. I would like to see how humanity lives." June smiled. "We would be honored to have you, Ambassador. I think you will find that we are not so different from each other. In the ways that matter most, all species want the same things. Safety, happiness, a future for their children." Kira stood. For the first time since boarding the human vessel, she felt something other than confusion and fear. She felt hope. The shuttle from the Harmony approached the Evergreen slowly. Ambassador Kira pressed her face against the viewport like a child seeing snow for the first time. The closer they got, the more impossible the ship seemed. Mountains. The Evergreen had actual mountains built into its structure. She could see forests covering the slopes, rivers flowing through valleys, clouds drifting across artificial skies contained within massive transparent domes. "This is not a ship," Kira breathed. "This is a world." Captain Tay sat beside her, watching her reaction with gentle amusement. "That was always the intention, Ambassador. When our ancestors designed the arcs, they wanted to bring everything that made Earth special, not just the people, but the land itself." "How long did it take to build?" Kira asked. "The Evergreen took 300 years from planning to completion. She was the 5th arc we built. Some of the earlier ones took even longer. 300 years. The Valori Empire had conquered entire sectors of the galaxy in less time. And humans had spent that time building mountains inside spaceships. The shuttle entered a massive hangar bay. Thousands of smaller craft were docked in neat rows. Crews moved about performing maintenance and loading cargo. It looked like any busy spaceport. Except this spaceport was inside a ship 2,000 kilometers long. Admiral June was waiting for them when they landed. He stood with a small group of humans, all wearing simple clothes in various colors. No military uniforms. No weapons. Just ordinary people. "Welcome to Evergreen, Ambassador," June said warmly. "I thought you might like a tour before we continue our discussions." Kira nodded. She did not trust her voice at the moment. They boarded a small transport vehicle that moved along magnetic rails. The route took them through tunnels and across bridges, each turn revealing new wonders. A woman with short gray hair joined them. She introduced herself as Hana, the chief engineer of the Evergreen. "I have been maintaining this ship for 40 years, Hana explained. "My mother was an engineer here before me. My grandmother helped design the power systems. Working on the Arcs is a family tradition for many of us." "The power requirements must be enormous," Kira said. Her scientific mind was struggling to understand the technology involved. Hana smiled. "We use a combination of fusion reactors and zero-point energy collectors. The ship has 700 primary reactors and over 2,000 secondary systems. Even if half of them failed, we could maintain full operations for centuries." "Centuries," Kira repeated. "The Arcs were designed to last forever, Ambassador, or as close to forever as engineering allows. We do not build for today. We build for all the tomorrows that will come after." The transport emerged from a tunnel into open air. Kira gasped. They were in one of the habitat domes. Above them stretched a blue sky with white clouds. Below them spread a city of perhaps 1 million people. Parks and gardens broke up the urban landscape. Children played in the streets. Markets bustled with activity. "This is New Seoul," Admiral June said. "One of 12 major cities aboard Evergreen. It was named after a great city on Earth. Many of our original passengers came from that region." 12 cities, Kira murmured. "On one ship, plus countless smaller communities. We have farming districts, industrial zones, nature preserves. The Evergreen is home to over 3,000 species of plants and 2,000 species of animals. We brought as much of Earth's diversity as we could." We doesn't sighed. The transport descended to street level and stopped at a small cafe. Admiral June gestured for everyone to disembark. "I thought you might appreciate some refreshment," he said. "And a chance to see how ordinary humans live." They sat at a table on a pleasant terrace. A young man brought them tea and small cakes. People walked past on their daily business, glancing curiously at the Valori ambassador but not stopping to stare. "They are not afraid," Kira observed. "Why would they be afraid?" June asked. "I am Valori. My people have conquered hundreds of species. We are known throughout the galaxy as conquerors." June sipped his tea thoughtfully. "Ambassador, the people of Evergreen have lived their entire lives on this ship. Many have never set foot on Earth. They know about the galaxy and its dangers, but they do not live in fear. They trust that the ship will protect them. They trust that their leaders will make wise decisions. Fear is not a useful emotion for daily life." Kira considered this. In the Valori Empire, fear was everywhere. Citizens feared their rulers. Soldiers feared their commanders. Conquered species feared their masters. Fear was the tool that held everything together. But these humans had built something different. They had built a society based on trust and cooperation. And somehow, it worked. "Tell me about your weapons," Kira said suddenly. Commander Thessa's sensors detected massive armaments on this vessel. Hana answered this question. "The Evergreen has extensive defensive systems. Energy shields that can withstand planetary bombardment. Point defense networks that can intercept thousands of incoming missiles. Long-range weapons capable of destroying targets at extreme distances." "But you said you built these ships for peace," Kira pointed out. "We built them for survival," Hana corrected. "Peace was always our goal. But we are not naive. We knew that the galaxy might contain hostile forces. We prepared accordingly." Admiral June leaned forward. "Ambassador, let me explain something about human nature. We are capable of great kindness and great violence. Throughout our history, we have shown both. The arcs represent our hope for a better future. But they also represent our determination to survive no matter what challenges we face. If you had wanted to, Kira said slowly, you could have destroyed our fleet the moment it entered your system. Yes, June admitted. We could have. Why did you not? June looked at her with those patient human eyes. Because that is not who we want to be. We do not measure our strength by how many enemies we can destroy. We measure it by how many friends we can make. The tea was good. The cakes were sweet. The breeze from the artificial sky was warm and gentle. Kira sat in an enemy city on an enemy ship, and she felt more at peace than she had in decades. Your 17 arcs, she said. Where are the others? Scattered throughout the galaxy, June replied. Each arc has its own territory, its own mission. Some explore, some trade, some simply exist, preserving human life in case anything happens to Earth. You spread yourselves across the galaxy, Kira said. You made it impossible for any enemy to destroy all of you at once. Exactly. Humanity learned long ago that putting all your resources in one place is dangerous. Our arcs ensure that no matter what happens, human civilization will continue somewhere. Kira thought about the Valori Empire. Everything centered on the home world. Everything dependent on the Emperor. If the home world fell, the entire empire would collapse. The humans had built something far more resilient. I must contact my government, Kira said finally. They need to know about this. About all of this. Of course, June agreed. We will provide you with a private communication room. Take all the time you need. As Kira stood to leave, she paused. Admiral June, I have one more question. Ask anything. If we had attacked, if Commander Thessa had ordered our fleet to fire on the Harmony before the Evergreen arrived, what would have happened? Number 1. June was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but certain. Ambassador, the Evergreen can cross the distance from hyperspace exit to Earth orbit in approximately 3 minutes at combat speed. Our weapons have an effective range of half a light second. If your fleet had shown hostile intent, the Evergreen would have arrived in time, and your 5 ships would have been destroyed before their weapons could even charge. Kira nodded slowly. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for choosing to talk instead of fight, June replied. That choice may have saved billions of lives today, both human and Valori. As Kira walked away to make her call, she realized something important. The humans had been prepared to destroy her fleet completely. They had the power to do it easily, but they had chosen peace instead. That, perhaps, was the most frightening thing of all. Not their power, but their restraint. The Valori had never met a species that had power and chose not to use it, until now. The Imperial Palace ship hung in orbit around the Valori homeworld. Inside the Grand Council chamber, Emperor Vorath sat upon his throne of black metal and stared at the holographic display before him. The image showed the Evergreen in all its terrifying glory. This is impossible, Vorath said. His voice was calm, but those who knew him could hear the barely controlled rage beneath the surface. I assure you, Divine Emperor, it is very real, Ambassador Kira replied. Her holographic image stood before the throne, transmitted from the Evergreen itself. I have walked aboard that ship. I have seen its cities. I have met its people. The council chamber was filled with the most powerful Valori in the Empire. Military commanders, political advisors, intelligence officers. All of them wore expressions of shock and disbelief. Grand Admiral Vex stepped forward. He was the supreme commander of all Valori military forces. 2,000 warships answered to his orders. Ambassador, you say this vessel is 2,000 kilometers long. Our largest dreadnought is 50 kilometers. You are asking us to believe that these humans, these primitives we discovered just months ago, have somehow built something 40 times larger than our greatest warship? I am telling you what I have seen with my own eyes, Grand Admiral. And you say there are 17 of these ships? Vex continued. That is what Admiral June told me. I have no reason to believe he was lying. I have no reason to believe he was lying. Emperor Vorath raised one of his 4 hands for silence. The chamber went quiet immediately. Intelligence Officer Sora, the Emperor said. What has your department learned? A young Valori female stepped forward. Sora was the head of Imperial Intelligence. Despite her youth, she had earned her position through brilliance and ruthlessness. Divine Emperor, we have analyzed all available data. The human ship designated Evergreen is exactly as Ambassador Kira describes. Our sensors confirm its size, its weapons, and its defensive capabilities. She activated a new holographic display. Star charts appeared, dotted with red markers. Furthermore, we have detected anomalous readings in 16 other locations throughout the galaxy. These readings match the energy signature of the Evergreen. We believe these are the locations of the other human arcs. Murmurs spread through the council. 16 other locations. The humans had spread themselves across the entire galaxy. Can we destroy them? Emperor Vorath asked. Sora hesitated before answering. Divine Emperor, I must be honest. Based on our analysis, a single human arc possesses firepower roughly equivalent to our entire fleet. One ship, against all 2,000 of our warships. The murmurs became shouts. Council members argued with each other. Some demanded immediate military action. Others called for retreat. The chamber descended into chaos. Silence, Emperor Vorath roared. The room went still. Continue, Intelligence Officer. Sora took a deep breath. If we mobilized every ship in the Empire, we might be able to destroy 1 arc. Perhaps 2. But the humans have 17, and during that conflict, they could easily destroy our homeworld, our colonies, our entire civilization. So you are saying we cannot win, Vorath said flatly. I am saying that a military victory is not possible, Divine Emperor. Any war with humanity would result in the complete destruction of the Valori Empire. The silence that followed was absolute. For 12,000 years, the Valori had never encountered a species they could not defeat. They had conquered hundreds of civilizations. They had destroyed dozens of species that resisted. They had built the greatest empire the galaxy had ever seen. And now a species they had dismissed as primitive had just changed everything. Grand Admiral Vex looked like he had aged 100 years in minutes. How did we miss this? Our scouts surveyed human space. They reported only small vessels. Sora answered him. The humans were careful, Grand Admiral. Their arcs never came near our territory. They kept their true capabilities hidden. We only saw what they wanted us to see. They were waiting, Ambassador Kira said from her hologram. They knew about us long before we knew about them. They watched us. They studied us. And they prepared. Emperor Vorath stood from his throne. He was ancient by Valori standards, over 500 years old. He had ruled for 3 centuries. He had never faced a challenge like this. What do the humans want? He asked quietly. Kira considered her words carefully. Divine Emperor, I have spent considerable time with their leaders. Admiral June, Captain Tay, others aboard the Evergreen. They have been remarkably consistent in their message, which is, they want peace. They want friendship. They want to be treated as equals. General Thrawn, commander of the Imperial Ground Forces, laughed bitterly. Equals. We are the Valori Empire. We do not have equals. We have subjects and enemies. Then perhaps that must change, Kira said firmly. The council erupted again. Accusations flew. Some called Kira a traitor. Others demanded her execution for suggesting such heresy. Emperor Vorath let them shout for several minutes. Then he raised his hand again and spoke. I will speak with these humans myself. The chamber went silent once more. Divine Emperor, Grand Admiral Vex said carefully. Is that wise? They could be planning to capture you, to hold you hostage. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done so already, Vorath replied. Ambassador Kira is correct. They are offering us something we have never been offered before. A choice. We can be their friends, or we can be their enemies. I intend to learn more before making that decision." He looked at the holographic image of the evergreen. Such a strange design. Built for life, not death. Built to preserve, not destroy. The humans had created something the Valori had never even imagined. "Intelligence Officer Sora," Vorath said. "What else have you learned about human culture?" Sora pulled up new data. "The humans have a complex history, Divine Emperor. They have known war. They have fought terrible conflicts among themselves. Millions have died in their internal struggles. So they are capable of violence," Vex said, sounding almost hopeful. "Extremely capable," Sora confirmed. "But they have also achieved remarkable things. Art, science, philosophy. Their culture places high value on concepts like compassion and cooperation. Their greatest heroes are not always warriors. Sometimes they are teachers, healers, or artists." "Strange," Vorath murmured. "There is more, Divine Emperor. The humans have a concept they call hope. It is a belief that the future can be better than the present. That no matter how dark things become, improvement is possible. This concept seems to drive much of their behavior. Hope. The Valori had no equivalent word. Their philosophy was based on power and dominance. The strong ruled the weak. The present was all that mattered. Emperor Vorath made his decision. "Contact Admiral June. Tell him that the Emperor of the Valori wishes to meet with him personally. I will travel to the Evergreen." "Divine Emperor!" Several council members shouted in protest. Vorath silenced them with a look. "I am not a fool. I know the risks. But I am also not a coward. If these humans can teach us something, I want to learn it. If they are deceiving us, I want to know. Either way, I will face them myself." He turned to Ambassador Kira's hologram. "Ambassador, you will arrange this meeting. You will be my guide among these humans. You seem to understand them better than anyone else." Kira bowed her head. "I am honored, Divine Emperor." As the council session ended, and Valori nobles filed out of the chamber, whispers spread through the halls of the palace ship. The Emperor was going to meet the humans. The Empire was changing. Nothing would ever be the same. And in the depths of space, aboard 17 massive ships scattered across the galaxy, humanity waited to see what the Valori would choose: peace or war, friendship or destruction, a new beginning or a final end. The choice was no longer in human hands. Emperor Vorath's shuttle crossed the final distance to the Evergreen. He sat alone in the passenger compartment, having ordered his guards to remain behind. This was a gesture of trust, Ambassador Kira had explained. The humans valued such gestures. Through the viewport, Vorath watched the impossible ship grow larger. Cities sparkled against its dark hull. Green forests spread across artificial continents. Rivers of blue water glittered under dome-covered skies. In 500 years of life, he had never seen anything so beautiful or so terrifying. The shuttle landed in the same hangar that had received Ambassador Kira days before. Vorath descended the ramp slowly, his ancient joints protesting the movement. Age was catching up with him. Soon he would need to choose a successor. But first, he had to secure his empire's future. Admiral June waited at the base of the ramp. Beside him stood Captain Tay, Engineer Hana, and several other humans Vorath did not recognize. They wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. They looked like ordinary people, not the masters of civilization-destroying ships. "Emperor Vorath," Admiral June said, bowing slightly. "We are deeply honored by your visit. Welcome to the Evergreen." Vorath studied the human admiral. Old, weathered, calm eyes that had seen much. A leader, clearly. But not the kind of leader Vorath was used to. There was no cruelty in this face, no hunger for power. "You invited me here to talk," Vorath said, "so let us talk." They did not go to a conference room. Instead, June led the Emperor through the ship on a walking tour. They strolled through parks where children played. They passed markets, where merchants sold food and crafts. They crossed bridges over rivers where fish swam in clear water. Everywhere they went, people noticed the Emperor. A Valori had never walked these streets before. But no one ran. No one screamed. People simply watched with curiosity, then returned to their lives. Your people do not fear me, Voreth observed. They have no reason to fear you, June replied. You came alone. You came to talk. That tells them you are not a threat. See, I have destroyed entire civilizations, Voreth said quietly. I have ordered the deaths of billions. These are not the actions of a peaceful being. June nodded slowly. And yet here you are, walking among people you could have tried to conquer, listening instead of commanding. Perhaps you are more than your past actions. Emperor. They stopped at a small garden near the center of the city. An old woman was tending to flowers there. She had white hair and wrinkled hands that moved with practiced care. This is my mother, June said. Her name is Mira. She has lived on the evergreen her entire life. 112 years. Mira looked up and smiled at the Valori Emperor. There was no fear in her eyes. Only warmth. Would you like some tea? She asked. I just made a fresh pot. Vorath found himself accepting. They sat on stone benches while Mira poured tea into simple clay cups. The taste was strange but pleasant. Your son commands this vessel, Voreth said to Mira. That makes you one of the most powerful women in human space. I. Voreth 70Y. Voreth 70Y. Mira laughed softly. I am a gardener, Emperor. I grow flowers. That is all I have ever wanted to do. My son chose his path. I chose mine. Both are equally valuable. In my empire, power is everything. Those without power are nothing. That sounds exhausting, Mira said. Always fighting for position. Always watching for threats. When do your people rest? When do they enjoy simply being alive? Vorath had no answer. He could not remember the last time he had simply enjoyed being alive. His entire existence was struggle and vigilance. After tea, Admiral June took the Emperor to a viewing platform that overlooked one of the agricultural domes. Fields of grain stretched to the horizon. Automated machines moved through the crops, harvesting and planting in endless cycles. We grow enough food on the evergreen to feed 20 million people, June explained. More than we need. The excess goes to trade with other ships and stations. You could feed armies with this production, Vorath noted. We could, but we choose to feed families instead. Vorath turned to face the human admiral directly. Why? You have power beyond anything my empire possesses. You could conquer the galaxy. You could rule everything. Why do you not? June was quiet for a long moment before answering. Emperor, humanity has learned hard lessons over the centuries. We have had our conquerors, our tyrants, our empires built on blood and fear. And we learned that such empires always fall. The conquered always rise eventually. The oppressed always fight back. Violence breeds violence in an endless cycle. So you chose a different path. We chose to build instead of destroy, to preserve instead of consume. We built these ships so that no matter what happened, human civilization would survive. We spread across the galaxy not to conquer, but to ensure our existence. And if someone threatens that existence, June's eyes hardened slightly, then we defend ourselves. Make no mistake, Emperor. Humanity is capable of terrible violence when necessary. We have the weapons and the will to destroy any threat, but we would rather make friends than enemies. Friends are far more useful in the long term. Vorath considered this. His entire philosophy was being challenged. Everything he had believed about power and civilization was being questioned by this old human standing beside him, in a garden, on an impossible ship. What do you want from the Valori Empire? Vorath asked finally. We want peace, June said simply. We want trade. We want cultural exchange. We want to learn from you and share what we have learned. We want to be partners in exploring this vast universe. You do not want tribute, submission, resources? We have everything we need, Emperor. The Arcs provide. What we lack is connection. For too long, humanity has been alone among the stars. We would like to have neighbors, friends, perhaps even family, in time. Vorath looked out over the endless fields of grain. Somewhere in the distance, children were laughing. Birds sang in artificial trees. Life flourished in this metal world that humanity had created. My empire will not accept this easily, Vorath admitted. We have been conquerors for 12,000 years. Change will be difficult. Change is always difficult, June agreed. But it is also necessary. The universe is vast, Emperor. There is room for all of us. The question is, whether we will face it together or apart. Vorath made his decision. I will return to my empire. I will speak to my council. I will tell them what I have seen here. I will recommend that we accept humanity's offer of friendship. June bowed his head. That is all we could ask. But I want something in return. Name it. Vorath looked at the human admiral with ancient eyes that had seen empires rise and fall. Teach us. Teach my people how to build instead of destroy. Teach us how to hope. We have forgotten these things, if we ever knew them at all. June smiled. It was a warm smile, full of genuine happiness. It would be our honor, Emperor. That is exactly what friends do. And they shook hands then, the Valori Emperor and the human admiral, two species that had approached the universe in completely different ways. Two civilizations that had every reason to be enemies, choosing instead to be friends. When Emperor Vorath returned to the palace ship, he addressed his council with words no Valori emperor had ever spoken before. The age of conquest is over. Today begins a new age. An age of cooperation. An age of growth. An age of building something greater than we have ever imagined. Some council members protested, some called it weakness, but most saw the truth in their emperor's eyes. He had been changed by what he saw. And if their ancient, powerful emperor could change, perhaps they could too. And across the galaxy, on 17 massive ships carrying the hopes of humanity, people celebrated. They had feared this moment for centuries, the moment when they would finally reveal themselves to a hostile universe. But the universe had not been hostile. The universe had been ready for friendship. Captain Tay stood on the bridge of the Harmony, watching the Valori diplomatic fleet prepare to depart. Ambassador Kira's face appeared on his screen one last time. Thank you, Captain, she said. For everything. Tay smiled. Thank you, Ambassador, for choosing to talk instead of fight. Perhaps that is the first lesson your species has taught mine. That sometimes the bravest thing to do is not to fight at all. The transmission ended. The Valori ships turned and entered hyperspace, carrying news that would change the galaxy forever. And humanity, alone no more, looked toward a future bright with possibility.